Welcome to episode 8 of the Rewire. I am your host, Vannara Loch. After knowing what I am about to share with you today, you will no longer want to feel stress ever again. Not because stress is uncomfortable, not because it exhausts you, not because it costs your health and your relationships, although it does all of those things, but because of what stress does to the signal your heart is broadcasting. Every single second into your body, into your biology, and into the world around you. We have come a long way in this series. We named survival mode, we mapped the 6 cycles, we felt the cost. We began building a new identity. We learned to shift state through the body. We discovered the alpha window. And today, everything converges. Because this is the episode where the science becomes undeniable, where the reason to change stops being a preference and becomes the only logical conclusion. My heart coherence, the most powerful state available to the human system. And here is what I know. Once you understand what incoherence actually does, you will never choose it passively again. Now, most of us were taught in school that the heart is a pump, that it receives orders from the brain and executes them, that the brain leads and the heart follows. Here is what science says. That picture is incomplete. The HeartMath Institute, founded in 1991 and backed by over 500 peer-reviewed studies, has spent more than 30 years mapping the relationship between the heart, the brain, and the nervous system. And one of their most striking findings is this. The heart actually sends more neural signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. Not slightly more, significantly more. The heart communicates with the brain through 4 pathways. Neurological signals through the nervous system, biochemical signals through hormones and neurotransmitters, biophysical signals through blood pressure waves, and electromagnetic signals through the heart's own electromagnetic field. The last one is the one that changes everything. The heart generates the largest electromagnetic field of any organ in the human body. According to HeartMath research led by Dr. Colin McCarthy, Director of Research at the HeartMath Institute, this field is approximately 100 times stronger in amplitude than the electromagnetic field produced by the brain. It extends several feet beyond the body. It is measurable with sensitive instruments, and it fluctuates in real time based on the emotion state of the person generating it. The heart is not just a pump, it is a broadcasting tower. And the signal it broadcasts is shaped by what you feel. And so the question that follows immediately from this science is, what are you broadcasting right now? And what does that signal do to your body, to your thinking, and to everything and everyone around you? Okay, let me show you what happens to the heart signal when you are stressed, angry, frustrated, and anxious. Because once you see this, once you truly understand what incoherence does, you will never want to stay in that state a moment longer than necessary. When you experience negative emotions, stress, anger, anxiety, frustration, your heart rhythm becomes erratic and disordered. In physics, this is called an incoherent waveform. Instead of a smooth order pattern, the signal looks jagged, chaotic, like static on a radio station. HeartMath Institute research confirms what this chaotic signal does when it reaches the brain. It inhibits higher mental functions, specifically perception, attention, reasoning, creativity, and decision-making, the very cognitive capacity you need most in a stressful moment are the exact ones the incoherent heart signal shuts down. This is why you cannot think clearly under stress. This is why you say things you regret. This is why you make decisions in conflict that you would never make from the calm state. It is not a failure of character. It is a measurable physiological reality. The incoherent signal is overriding the brain before the thinking mind can catch up. And here is what I want you to understand about what happens next, because this is the part that changes everything. When you are in the state of anger, frustration, or chronic stress, your reticular activating system, the brain's attention filter, becomes primed for threat. The RAS determines what information from the environment you consciously notice and what gets filtered out. Under stress, it filters for danger, for conflict, or for evidence that confirms the emotional state you are already in. This is why when you are angry, you seem to encounter more things that makes you angry. When you are anxious, more things feel threatening. When you are in survival mode, more of the world looks like something to defend against. Your attention is not neutral. It is pre-filtered by your emotional state. And the emotional state is shaped by the heart's coherence or incoherence. This is the established neuroscience behind what many people describe as the law of attraction. It is not mysticism. It is selective attention shaped by your emotional frequency. The signal you broadcast inward through the heart's electromagnetic field determines what your brain selects from the available information in your environment. What you feel does not attract external events, but it absolutely determines which events you notice, engage with, and respond to. And so, when you choose to stay in a state of chronic stress, when you normalize the incoherent signal, you are not just exhausting yourself, you are narrowing the world your brain can perceive. You are running your most important cognitive functions at reduced capacity, and you are pre-filtering your experience toward more of what you do not want. That is the cause of the incoherence, and that is why, after knowing this science, you will no longer want to feel stress passively ever again. Now the opposite state, coherence, and here is where everything we have built in this series, the smile, the breath, the alpha state, comes together into one unified practice. When you experience positive emotions, gratitude, love, compassion, genuine appreciation, your heart rhythm transforms. The erratic choretic pattern flows into what researchers describe as a sine wave, ordered, harmonious coherence. Dr. Roland McCarthy of the HeartMath Institute defines coherence as the state when the heart, mind, and emotions are in energetic alignment and cooperation. It is the state that builds resilience. In coherence, the brain's higher cognitive functions are not inhibited. They are enhanced. Clarity improves, creativity increases, decision-making becomes more accurate, emotional resilience grows. And critically, as HeartMath research confirms, when physiological coherence increases, so does the brain's alpha activity. Alpha state and heart coherence are not just compatible, they amplify each other. The body in coherence naturally accesses alpha. Alpha state naturally deepens coherence. Together, they create the most receptive, most powerful, most creative state the human system can produce. The electromagnetic field extends several feet beyond the body in this state. It carries information about harmony, safety, and possibility. It measurably influences the heart rhythms and brain activity of people in proximity. When you are in coherence, you do not just feel different, you literally broadcast a different signal into the space around you. And here is the Rewire interpretation of what this means. And I want to be clear, this is my reading of science, not a peer-reviewed claim. If the incoherent signal narrows what the brain perceives, filtering for threat, conflict, and evidence of danger, then the coherent signal does the opposite. It opens the perceptual field, the RAS, primed by elevated emotion, begins filtering for opportunity, connection, and evidence of possibility, the same word, a completely different experience of it. Because the signal you are broadcasting inward has changed what your brain selects. This is why Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches, and I have found this to be true in my own life, that the elevated emotion is not just a feeling you wait for. It is a state you generate deliberately, before external circumstances give you a reason to. You feel grateful before the evidence arrives. You feel whole before the result is confirmed. And from that state, the brain begins pursuing the world that matches it. Let me share something personal with you. There was a moment during a nap in alpha state when I asked for guidance, not with words exactly, more like a turning inward, a genuine question sent from the deepest part of me toward whatever is larger than the thinking mind. And what I felt in response was not a thought. It was a sensation in the heart, a settling, kind of quiet certainty that arrived without explanation, a feeling that said it is done. And I smiled automatically without deciding to. And I said thank you, not because I had thought to say it, because body responded to the signal it had already received. This is what coherence feels like from the inside, not a technique performed correctly. A genuine alignment between what the mind holds and what the heart broadcasts. And in that state, something in the field responds, not always immediately, not always in the way expected, but the response comes. And what that taught me was this: the practice is not about manufacturing a feeling you don't have. It is about locating a feeling that is already true. Gratitude for something real, love for someone specific, appreciation for something small, and amplifying it deliberately until it fills the heart, until the heart signal shifts, until the brain begins perceiving the world through that frequency instead of through fear. Now we are going to do this together, the full sequence. Breath into alpha, into coherence. Close your eyes. Take one slow breath and release the mental chatter consciously, not suppressing it, simply setting it down. You can pick it up later. Right now, just empty. Place your hand on your chest. Inhale for 5 counts. Exhale for 5 counts. Feel the warmth beneath your hand. This is the coherent breath. This is the signal to the heart that the mind is ready to listen. Bring to the mind one thing, one specific, real thing that you are genuinely grateful for. Not a concept, a person, a moment, something that makes your chest warm when you recall it. Let that feeling rise. Do not think about it. Feel it. Hold it in the chest for 30 seconds. From this elevated state, bring one image of what you are building. The life, the identity, the version of yourself that is becoming real. Do not visualize it from a distance. Feel the gratitude for it as if it has already arrived. The heart does not distinguish between the vividly felt memory and the vividly felt future. Both produce the same coherent signal. Let it go with confidence, not with doubt or grasping, with the quiet knowing that the signal has been sent. Open your eyes slowly when you are ready. And that is coherence. Not a state you stumble into, a state you generate deliberately from the heart outward. The heart broadcasts a signal every second of every day. That signal is shaped by what you feel, and what you feel determines what your brain can perceive, what your body can assess, and what your attention selects from the world around you. Stress is not just uncomfortable. It is an incoherent signal that narrows cognition, suppresses creativity, and pre-filters your experience toward more of what you do not want. Coherence is not just pleasant. It is the state where the mind thinks most clearly, the body hears most efficiently, and the heart broadcasts a signal strong enough to influence the people and the environment around you. And now you know this, not as a belief, as science, as measurable, repeatable, peer-reviewed biology. Now your challenge this week is this. Once a day, morning is best. In Alpha, do the 5 steps coherence practice. Empty, anchor, generate elevated emotion. Feel the future as present. Release, 5 minutes every day. Notice what changes, not dramatically, quietly, in how you think, in how people respond to you, in what your attention begins to find. Now next week, we go into episode 9, the science of writing it down. Why Napoleon Hill was right. Why handwriting encodes identity deeper than typing. And why the power statement spoken in Alpha and Coherence is the most complete programming sequence we have. If today changed how you think about stress, share it. Because the most general thing we can do is hand someone the science that makes the old way impossible to choose passively again. The community to anchor your new identity exists at school.com/rewire-8276. I am Vannara Loch. This is the Rewire. Stop managing your life. Start creating it. I will see you next week.